call the meeting to order officially at 5:30 p.m. Thank you, council, thank you, staff, and thank you for citizens for being present this evening for our council meeting. Would you please perform roll call?
Mayor Rodham.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Perry. Councilmember Caffey.
Here.
Councilmember Willie.
Here.
Councilmember Oliveris. Here. Councilmember Starnes. Councilmember Melton.
Here. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation. Gracious God, as we start 2026, we give thanks for your presence in the lives of our citizens. We look to you as our hope, our peace, and our comfort in this new year. As we move through the coming days, weeks, and months, we ask you for your guidance and wisdom. Illuminate our path with your light so that we may speak and walk in your ways and make decisions which better our world and our local community. We ask for your continued guidance and protection over our first responders, our students, teachers, staff, and administration of the Rockdale ISD, and our entire community. Help us individually and collectively to live our lives in such a way that kindness and goodness are trademarks of our words and our actions. Thank you for everyone who has gathered here this evening, and bless our time together. Amen. Tim, you said you had an announcement?
Yes, I just would like to remind everybody, Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration, and we will be having a parade. Starts at Wolf Park at 1 o'clock and goes down to the Mule Park, and they have some activities going on down there, so hopefully everybody will be able to come out and join us.
1 p.m., right?
1 p.m.
Yep. Excellent. Okay. Citizens Communications. Thank you, sir. So I have two citizens who are signed up to speak on an item on the agenda, Pam Morrison and Jerry McPeak. Do you want to speak during that agenda item, I would presume, when it comes up on the, okay. And then you both also signed up for the public hearing. You'll have time during the, as we conduct the public hearing, to give you information then. Items not on the agenda, we have 4 people signed up, so I will remind you, if you are on this agenda to speak on an item that's not on the agenda, you will be allowed 3 minutes. I'll ask you when I call your name to step up to the podium, pull the mic down where we can hear you. This is being recorded, and we will start a timer for your 3 minutes. First, I have Grady and Jennifer Hall.
I reckon. All right, so the first thing that we listed was about Belton, over East Belton, is people are turning that thing into a racetrack. And I've been outside and seen people just shoot down the road. I've had like probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, woke up to somebody with loud pipes, turning off of one of the intersections, just flooring it, and you can hear them fly by. Is there any way we can get speed bumps put out on that road to put a stop to that?
Yeah, Rockdale Police have been doing a good job of patrolling that area because we've complained to them in the past about my late father's ex-wife trespassing, so they're probably familiar with this, but she hasn't been bothering us, but the traffic there is unbearable, and I have osteoarthritis, and I don't get around the greatest sometimes, and crossing that road concerns me. And plus, I have 4 grandsons that I worry about somebody driving recklessly, and I see the children to the left and right of us getting on the buses, and these people are driving way faster than 30 miles an hour.
What street you say on Belton?
Yes.
East Belton.
East Belton.
Over there close to where Arledge Mini Storage is at, over St. Andrews.
Yeah, the Rockdale Police are patrolling that area, but they're doing it when the police aren't around. So,
They're doing it when, I'm sorry?
like, sometimes early in the mornings, like 5:30, 6:30.
Oh, the speeders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing it when there's less presence to catch them.
yeah, and sometimes in the late evenings.
Well, that, your concern is duly noted, and I think I can speak for all the council, but we share the same concern in regards to the safety of our citizens, especially when it comes to our kiddos. Chief Metters is present here tonight, and I'm sure he's heard your message and understand that and he appreciates your positive comments about his department patrolling that area, but it sounds like we may need to revisit it again at the times we're more heavily patrolling it, and then have a
Yes.
conversation with City Manager Kelty regarding the potential for speed bumps. Speed
Yes.
bumps are good, and then they're bad in some ways. I'll just tell you from my experience, because they slow down emergency responses.
Yeah, I get that, but like I said, they're driving like they're out on 79 or
Yes, ma'am.
77 through there,
I
and the
certainly
speed limit is
understand.
30.
I certainly understand your concern. positively.
The bigger
You may,
city,
yes.
If I can respond to that, I know
ahead.
personally I lived on Belton and Rice Street, so we struggled with that quite a bit, and it is absolutely dangerous. I know in the past I would call Rockdale PD. I mean, short of getting a license plate, I don't know, Chief, can we do that? Can we call in a license plate? Would that be helpful? It seems like it was like the same offenders, a lot of that.
Mayor, I would remind you that this is,
I'm sorry,
Citizen
I
comments.
asked if I could respond to that, only because I live on that street.
I
Sorry.
understand that. No,
Sorry
I'm the
about
one
that.
that, I'm in trouble then, so.
I got you in trouble, it's okay. I just wanted to respond, I know what you're talking about.
oh, yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, they've had a change of hands since this ordeal, but when my father-in-law was sick, he ended up passing away of cancer. But when we were dealing with a certain individual, I won't give her name, God knows I'd love to, but she was trespassing and some of her cohorts were trespassing. And we'd try to get something done about it and we were getting excuses. Those officers are gone since now. We had the last time we had to deal with it was the night he passed away. We had wanted to put a trespass order on one individual so she couldn't be coming around. And when she did come back around, we made the call, they came over and the trespass order was never done. And I've called before with the other crew that's gone, I'd called up the dispatch to talk to Chief Meadows or Stephen Goodrich. And if I messed up your name, Stephen, but it's okay, they're not here. This happened four different times spread out over this period that I'd called, and if they're not here, have them call me back. I never got a call, so I'm assuming they never got the message relayed to them.
And again, and respectfully, your 3 minutes is expired, so I thank you for coming to speak tonight. Council hears your concerns. Our Chief of Police hears your concerns. Thank you for coming to speak. Shannon Cornegie?
cell phone number on, just give me a call.
Mr. Mayor, I respectfully request additional time, if needed, to complete the prepared comments for council members. Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. City Manager, and Chief Metters, I'm here to inform you about a new board that is being formed to support the Rockdale Animal Shelter. We will be under the direction and guidance of Chief Metters, and we will be working closely with the ACOs at the shelter. Currently, we are a group of 11, and each of us had to be approved by the chief to be involved with the shelter and the animals. At this time, I'd like to introduce the members of our group who are in attendance, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
Rita Guerrero and Val Guerrero, who are standing. Lisa Juarez, please stand. Beth Garcia, Ruben Garcia, Angela Sierra, Tina Schletzler, and then our supporting individuals that are very helpful to us is Megan and Easton Birdsong. Rita Guerrero and I have been meeting with the chief and have done so several times already, and we have discussed our ideas for improvements at the shelter and at the dog park. With the chief's approval, we arranged for and oversaw 3 small projects, 2 of which were supported by local businesses. Currently, we are working on a microchipping and dog registration event for the public, hopefully by the end of January, 1st of February. Also, we have another event planned in February that is very minimal at the moment. Additionally, we have partnered with a local mobile groomer who will donate 1 grooming session per month for the shelter animals. We will also be partnering with local veterinarians as well as Mild Touch of Love and surrounding shelters. We'll be reaching out to other shelters within the state as well as other shelters that are outside of Texas. Our main goal is the adoption of the animals at the shelter, and there is going to be quite a bit to do to accomplish this. We will begin the process of applying for our 501c3 designation very soon. Currently, the shelter is home to 11 dogs: Apollo, Rhea, Sasha, Hazel, Onyx, Ember, Romeo, Jameson, Yogi, Stella, and Rosie. As we continue to interact with these dogs, we will be making the necessary arrangements for them to be adopted. To clarify, we are not a rescue group, and at this time, we do not arrange for fosters. However, we will be educating each other and assisting in educating the public on the local ordinances, state laws, registration of pets, microchipping, maintaining vaccinations and well-being, and spaying and neutering. All of this is in the hopes of achieving little to no homelessness and abandonment, while also raising awareness among the public about the importance of responsible pet ownership and the lifelong commitment. This past Saturday, we had a work day at the shelter. We assisted one of the ACOs with their daily duties. We began our beautification project, and we interacted with the dogs. Another goal we are striving towards is making the Rockdale shelter welcoming for future adopting families and to have the shelter present itself in the same manner as the City of Taylor Animal Shelter. With time and the support of local businesses and residents, as well as Chief Metters, we are confident in all of our goals. Please feel free to reach out to me or Rita should any of you have any questions. We will return each quarter to provide an update on what we have accomplished and what we are working on. Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, on behalf of our entire group, we truly appreciate your support. It means a lot. And lastly, Chief Metters, thank you for your support and your guidance. Thank you for making time for us. Thank you for believing in our goals and sharing in our vision. We look forward to working with you, and we are excited about what we will accomplish together for the shelter animals and the shelter as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you to your group as well. Reggie Boney.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I am here to address street concerns on the east side. They are in desperate need of repair. I've been here probably since 2007. We haven't really had a lot done there, and it's definitely a need. It's serious bumps. It can damage our cars. I cruise down the street because of fear, maintenance, and everything. Also, we have a pretty good community over there now, and we're really trying to keep it clean and get a lot of things updated. Even the water system, we have concerns about that because it hasn't been updated, the infrastructure, for quite some time. So that is my concern here tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Boney, for coming and speaking on that tonight. I know you and I spoke over the phone.
Right, and it's Second Street is my main concern, and I'm partial to that since I live on this street.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. I can understand that.
Can you repeat where that is? I'm sorry.
East side,
Okay.
Second Street.
Second Street. Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Robbie?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Councilman. I'm just here to reiterate what the mayor said about the city manager said about the MLK parade. I'm one of the persons that's represented, and I'd like to leave this flyer so everybody can see. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get it put on our website if it's not already there.
Okay, we will now move on to presentations. First presentation is from Chad Leckler with Brazos Valley Resources, BVR.
Got it on my phone just in case I couldn't see it. All right, my name's Chad Leckler. I'm the GM of BVR Waste and Recycling. We have been doing business with the city of Rockdale for the last 4 years. I remember right during COVID, we kicked this whole thing off, and we were picking up bins and delivering bins, and delivered just over 2,000 recycle bins, around the community. There were some bumps and bruises along the way, as there typically is when there's change. But we just appreciate everybody and how much everybody's worked with us and the operation, and then everybody here at the city. It's been so great to work with, especially shout out to Ms. Teresa, who is our go-to for everything. And she lets us know when there's any concerns or issues, and we try to get those fixed as quickly as possible. We strive on customer service and community at BVR. We pride ourselves, and we're not the big guys. We're not the huge companies that's out there. But we like to be in touch with our communities and who we work with, and make sure that all the citizens feel like that your voices are heard and that you're taken care of. So we know there's been maybe service interruptions along the way and different changes, and we appreciate everybody for your understanding when there's been some changes come up and things we needed to do to make our operation better. And we just appreciate everybody here in Rockdale and everybody that's worked with us in the past and who we're going to be working with in the future. So we really appreciate it. So I've got some different things I want to go over. First slide is just the agenda. Any major improvements since 2021, customer service commitment, community partnership and contributions, Milam County Tire Cleanup Project, recycling success in Rockdale, and then looking ahead as far as BVR's commitment here. So on the first slide, major improvements since 2021. So it's hard to believe it's been that long. It feels like yesterday we were just sitting in here and awarded the contract. So we did a full rollout of all new commercial dumpsters and residential carts when we got the contract. We upgraded residential collection from rear load to modern side load trucks here lately. You've probably seen different trucks coming around. It just helps us be more efficient. They're bigger trucks. They hold more trash. So we don't have to take as many trips to the landfill. And it helps keep your streets cleaner. And it helps us keep things in the cart and make sure that everything gets done. So as you can see, dogs and animals and different things, when you've got bags laying outside the cans, can be an issue. And that's why we're trying to push to keep stuff in the carts. But we do understand when there's other things we got to dump. Consistently low complaints with strong service satisfaction. On comparing this community to other communities we serve, we're historically have had low complaints here. We do realize we are not perfect. We don't claim to be, but we do know when we have issues that we're going to take care of them as fast as possible. So we appreciate everybody working with us on that side of things. We haven't raised any prices here since 2023. So we do realize in the economic times that we're in that it's been tough on everybody, and that's why you've seen us try to be more efficient, maybe change the style of trucks we're using, different things like that to try to keep that cost down on our customers. So that's just been something we've tried to do for the city of Rockdale. We piloted a residential recycling program, and we had some community feedback. We bought 400 recycle carts just in case everybody wanted to recycle. We do use those in other communities, so they didn't like we had to throw them away or anything. But it didn't really take off the way that we thought it would. I believe that was in 2023 when we ran that little pilot program. Didn't have quite the interest that we needed to make a full transition into residential recycling service. And then we've had routing enhancements to match Rockdale's growth. Now you've got some few neighborhoods out there that are being built, and we're trying to match our routing with the growth of the city to try to be as efficient as possible and make sure everybody's taken care of. Customer service commitment. So daily commitment with city staff to resolve any issues quickly. So if you're ever wondering what happens, if you call in and you have an issue at BBR, we're not like this huge, massive company. That call goes straight to people who are like 2 doors down from my office, and our site manager, who's in the same building. He's on top of every single. His name's Cody. He's on top of every single issue that comes up in this town, and making sure that we're on top of things and tackling the issues. So even if you think it's the smallest issue imaginable, we do hear about it, and we try to make sure it's taken care of as quickly as possible. Rapid response times to residential commercial service requests. Dedicated support team committed to transparency and reliability. We try to be as open as possible. If anybody has questions, you're welcome to ask. I don't have anything to hide for sure. Customized solutions for residents, businesses, and city departments. So sometimes there may be some things that come up where certain customer needs a service. It may be in a difficult spot, or a business may need a different type of pickup or different. We're always open to customizing some services if need be, to make sure everybody gets their trash picked up, because as you know, nobody cares about trash till it's not picked up. So we do realize that. So some community contributions. Stash Your Trash events. So that's 10 roll-offs delivered twice a year. So you had the Stash Your Trash event. I'm sure everybody knows that one. Well, that is free of charge. We do that for free for the city. We don't charge anything for that. So that's 10 free roll-offs. It's about $16,000 a year that we're doing in free services there. The recycling roll-off, which I do realize during the holidays gets a little full, gets overflowing sometimes with all the influx of cardboard. We've increased our services here lately to try to mitigate that issue. But that's the first 2 monthly services are provided at no cost. So it's about $12,000 annual value we provide to the city at no cost there. And then the annual free bulk pickup, which is, I think it's twice a year. So we do it. It's actually this week we're doing an annual one of the bulk pickups. So Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have members of our management team here on site, and we'll have drivers. I believe 2 trucks here helping with the bulk pickup, and to help keep the city clean. And that's also provided at no charge. So, and then the donation of lunch or trailer and portable units for some Christmas events that we try to do every once in a while. And then ongoing support of multiple Rockdale community organizations. There have been different organizations in town that we have donated money and services to. So we try to be involved, and I know if the city needs something, they're not afraid to reach out, and we're willing to work with everybody on those different things. So once again, appreciate everybody. On to the next one. The Milam County Tire Cleanup Project. That was the tire cleanup we did in 2023. We provided 17 roll-off dumpsters. We removed 510 cubic yards of tires. That was the county waste project that we assisted with, and it was to help with the significant improvement to public health, drainage, and beautification, to keep people from throwing those things in ditches everywhere. So we were happy to help the city get rid of those tires that nobody wants to see laying around. All right, and then recycling success in Rockdale, ongoing collection of recycling materials from the community drop-off site. So like I said, I realize it gets a little crazy during the holidays with everybody's Amazon boxes and everything they're throwing away, especially after Santa comes. And then all the metal collected during the bulk pickups is fully recycled. So we recycle it through our sister company, Premier Metal Buyers. So any metal we pick up is fully recycled. And then we're happy to support Rockdale's sustainability goals through responsible waste diversion. So all the slotted bin containers that we pick up, the roll-offs, it comes straight back to our facility, and it is dumped at our facility in College Station, which is hand sorted through and recycled. So anything that's trash will go to the landfill. Anything that's recycled gets pulled and sent to plants. We'll bale it, and then we send it to plants to be recycled. Looking ahead, so continued service efficiency with upgraded equipment and routing. We're investing in new equipment all the time. We have a new plan in place to equipment replacement plan in place right now. We're gonna spend about $2 million this year just replacing trucks. So we're trying to make sure our trucks are in good shape and look good, and make sure everybody's satisfied with that. We're expanding recycling education and participation opportunities. So I'm always available for any kind of recycling presentation or anything you may need, or to talk about trash. So if you have any clubs or organizations or anything like that need a presentation or things like that you may want someone that has a little experience in that, feel free to reach out. If I'm available, I will for sure make it over here and do whatever I need to do, and it's help educate some people on recycling and trash. So strengthen community involvement through events and donations. We're always willing to partner with different organizations in the community to help you be successful. And then remain a dependable long-term partner dedicated to Rockdale's growth. So we're excited about the growth of Rockdale, which I hope you are too. We know it's coming. It's like it's everywhere right now, so there's no escaping it. But so we're excited about the growth of Rockdale and looking to partner with you guys as a city and help with that in any way we can. So, and I believe that's it. All right. If I'm right, all right, I made it. So I guess I should know. So, all right. I just want to say thank you to everybody here. We realize that there are other options out there for trash service, and we appreciate you guys and y'all depending on us and you're trusting us to get the job done. And we really value this relationship and look forward to building it in the future.
Mayor, when he came, I asked him to reserve enough time for council and you all to ask questions and make comments, so please don't let him get away without.
Fire away. I'm here.
I have
Yes,
a
sir.
question there quick. You mentioned the customer service number, and so that I don't have to call Shanna or others, what is that
Well,
customer
the
service
the
number?
agreement with the city is they take the calls.
Okay, gotcha.
And so then they relay it to us.
Second
Yes, sir.
question is related to yard debris.
Yes,
There's
sir.
been some challenges in the past as to
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you guys will pick up, or do we need to hide yard debris underneath real trash in our trash cans and whatnot?
Typically, if it'll fit in the trash can, then we'll pick it up.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then as far as the side loading machine, if I have gone out into Walmart or Lowe's and I bought a round trash can,
Mm-hmm.
that's my second can, does that get picked up?
So if it has bags in it, our guys will pull them out. We still have a helper in that truck that will get out and pull bags if you got extra bags. Okay.
If it's
We're
loose?
not gonna dump a private can because of liability issues. If we damage it or anything like that, then we don't want people to, we're on the hook for damaging somebody's trash can or things like that. So if it is bagged like it is and says in the contract 2 extra bags, if there are 2 extra bags, our guys will pick it up. And if they're not, please call Teresa and she will make sure we're on it. And we do have cameras on all our trucks. So we have 8 cameras on our trucks. We can see all the way around them. They have audio. There's cameras in the cab. It's everything. There's cameras in the hopper where we can see what came out of the can and gets dumped in. So we do have all those capabilities, and we can look back on the route and pull an exact time of when it happened, and we can pull that video. So we've had some different issues from dogs to different things, dog bites and issues and things that have happened in the past. So we were able to pull that and make sure that everything was taken care of and identify the problem and come to a solution. So
Thank you.
yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you for being responsive to
Yes, sir.
requests in regard to problems from our citizens. I'll speak to one personally. One of my neighbors up the street from me lost a wheel on their can 4
Correct.
separate times, and I know you guys sent a driver trainer down here, did quite a bit of intervention to try to resolve that process and stop that from happening. It's not a huge deal, right? But it's just frustrating for a resident.
And I agree. And being in this industry, people don't realize we service about 60,000 residential customers in the Brazos Valley. So people may look at that and say, well, it's just one customer. They don't care. We do care. We're gonna make sure everybody feels like they're valued, and you're not just a number to us. So that's part of what has been instilled in me in this company, and it's what we want our communities to realize, that we do care, and we will do whatever we have to do to make sure that you're taken care of and that you're heard. And we may not always agree. We may have to agree to disagree, but we will listen and make sure that every problem is heard. So
You might make a good mayor someday.
I understand.
I've got a question. I got a statement and a question. So the first
Yes.
one is, we have a store here in town, and y'all do our commercial pickup. I've only had a call twice since y'all serviced us, and like you said about the cameras, the first time they didn't pick up. And they sent a picture. There was somebody parked in front of the dumpster. I was like, okay, that was on me. And then the second time it was just here recently, and however it came out, I was like, we're not gonna make it to the next. They sent a truck out there and got it all picked up, which I was glad. But my statement is, I didn't know I was supposed to call Shannon. I called y'all's office, and y'all do answer.
We will answer, yes, sir. We're not gonna turn you away.
That's what I'm getting at. Every time I've tried twice, they have answered it right away, called back right away. It's worked out. The second one is a question. I don't know if it's for you or Ben or Tim. There's a certain home over here by the tennis court. For the last couple of weeks, they've got a couch, trash bags, furniture, and I'm not picking on them. Going, is that somebody do they need to call the city? They need to call y'all?
They'll call the city. So we're actually Wednesday. If they'll call the city, we'll pick that
Is
up.
that the bulk pick?
Yes.
Okay.
If you know the address, send it in. We'll come get
Well, no,
it.
and I'm not picking on it. Maybe they don't know. So in the
There
future.
would be an extra charge for that, correct?
The bulk pickup. No, this is the free one.
Oh, for the
This is the free one.
pickup, there's not.
Yeah.
But in the future, if it wasn't going on right now, so it'd be a couple months from now, is that for the city, Ben, or somebody to go by and let them know? Or how does that work? You go, okay, they got some furniture, maybe they don't know what to do.
And we let them know what their options are.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Council, any other
I
questions?
just have one thing. Maybe you can remind me. So I'm pretty passionate about recycling. I moved from a big city back to my hometown where we used to recycle. So coming back to a town where we didn't recycle, I
Yes.
had a garage full, and I would sometimes make time to take it to the big dump.
Mm-hmm.
I know we had visited this, like you said, in 23, and I think we took a poll amongst the citizens. Maybe y'all can remind me, council. And it didn't seem like there were not too many people interested. I think it was going to be a $7
Mm-hmm.
upcharge. I know personally, for myself, I know Mr. Earth Day here, probably passionate about recycling. Maybe we can revisit that, Tim, and see what that would look like
Okay.
now. Especially now that we're getting different citizens that come.
Yeah,
to
we're
the city
definitely
that are
open
big
to
on
it.
recycling.
Yes. We see, because that bin gets full a lot faster than it used to.
It's well used, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all for me.
I'm sorry.
No, I said that's all for me. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a comment. I've had your commercial service for about 3 years, and I don't think I've missed a pickup.
All right, man.
So
It's awesome to
I
hear.
just wanted to compliment you on that.
Thanks for keeping it clear so we can get to it.
And that was, maybe you know about that one time. Yes, it was me. I did park in front of it one time. And they came back. They did come back.
Mine was a fuel truck.
Okay.
And I was arguing, well, nobody's been here.
Don't tell on yourself.
There's a fuel truck.
We get it. We understand. We
Mine
understand.
was me.
We understand. We see all kind of different things.
Anything else for
No, it's good. Thank you.
Mr. Leckler?
Are you related to a famous NFL punter?
Depends on who's asking. But yes, I am. Yes. My
Right.
first cousin.
First cousin.
Yes, sir.
Very cool.
Very good. Thanks
All right.
for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Next presentation will be from the Charter Review Committee. Mayor John King will be here giving that review. But before he does that, I want to say thank you. I appointed 5, 6 members.
Yes, sir, and he actually has all their names. He's gonna read
Okay,
them off.
but I want to thank them personally for their hard work in putting together the charter review and potential recommended revisions for citizens to consider. So, Mayor King, thank you, sir.
Well, it's good to be here again, and I'm going to start with just a little bit of background before I get into the actual thing. As you know, Rockdale's a home rule city. We were established by our first charter vote in 1978. The city operated under this charter until 2016, which is a long time not to have reviewed it. And when I was mayor, we decided to do a review, and we reviewed it, and it was voted on in 2017, and again in 2019 it was reviewed. And in the current charter, it requires a review every 5 years. And so we're doing that 5-year plus one right now. And to let you know the process, the city charter is reviewed through a committee or a commission, as it's stated in some of the laws. And that's appointed by the mayor, or it could be appointed by the council, but in any case, it was appointed. And those that were appointed were Elisa Benford Roberts, Doug Williams, Joyce Dally, Enrique Guzman, Mayor Rodham, City Manager Kelty, and myself. And every meeting was monitored and attended either through video or in person by the city council, so that we don't make something that's not legal or shouldn't make. So the procedure is, at this stage, after the commission has reviewed the changes, they'll be submitted to you. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're submitting the changes, and you have a printout of what all the changes are. I'm not going to go through all of them individually, but I'm going to hit a few highlights, okay? You should have a copy at your desk right now. And it just says proposed amendments at the top of it. It's front and
There's
back.
a handout that he.
It's a handout.
And what he's reviewing tonight is for discussion only. It'll come back in the form of an ordinance, and then council will be able to select what they want to go forward to the voters.
Yeah. So anyway, we're submitting those changes to you. And the steps are, you will review them and call an election to have the voters certify them. And you need to know that each change is an individual voted item. So you will have an opportunity during your sessions, while you're committing to the ordinance, to review and either change whatever we put here, delete what we put here, or add something we forgot. Although we did review every line item when we were reviewing it. And then when the citizens vote, they vote on each individual item. It's not a bulk. So if they don't vote on it, it don't become law. Okay, so these are all strictly recommendations. And we're submitting these changes, our opinions, to you tonight. And the process requires you to finalize the changes and create an ordinance calling an election. And many of the recommendations are changes referencing gender neutrality. Okay, his, her, whatever, we make it gender neutral. Other changes are a result of state law changes. As you may or may not know, the legislature has been really hard on cities in the last 3 or 4 sessions. So the law has changed significantly. So some of the changes that I'm just going to outline for you here are, we're recommending, I should say that residency requirements be 12 months in the city and 6 months in the ward. I think before it was like 12 and 12.
Yeah, to run for council, it is now 12 months, being recommended 12 months in the city, 6 months in the ward. Currently, it is 12 and 12, unless you're annexed.
Unless it's an annexation.
And then it's only
correct.
6 months.
We also are recommending changing annexation law language or the way it is written out in the charter to be changed to coincide with state law. Many of the changes are for state law. Also, I'm a little biased on this one because I believe we ought to give the mayor the right to vote in council. The reason for that is, if you look at some of the original stuff in the charter, there are places where you can pass an ordinance with a unanimous vote of 7 members. Well, if you can't vote, you can't ever have that happen. So the mayor should be able to vote in a lot of cases that, well, it just should. I mean, he's gone to the trouble to go through the ordinances and he has an opinion, he should be able to express it at that stage.
The mayor can currently vote as a tiebreaker, though, that's correct.
That's the way it is currently.
And there were some inconsistencies because there was some references to to
ordinances
passing with a 7-0 unanimous vote, which would never happen if the mayor can't vote.
Also, I think the mayor's required to vote on the budget.
Yes.
So, another one that is kind of going to be a little controversial probably. We feel that the projected growth of the city, that the council and mayor should possibly enter into the compensation arena. About 75% or so of the cities do that. Cameron does it. It's not, they don't have to take it, they can refuse it. And we're recommending a starting salary of $150 for council and $300 for mayor per month, starting after the election in 2028. We're growing, and it's going to take more and more time. You're going to find that the mayor's going to require 40 hours or more work every month, and you're going to probably find multiple council meetings also during the month. So we're recommending that. Doesn't have to go there. We also modified the rules for when there's a vacancy on the council or with the mayor. It was more clarification rather than a big modification, but still, because if it's within a year, you're allowed to appoint. And the way the old ordinance read was that if the mayor was gone, then the mayor pro tem took it over, and then you had a vacancy on the council. Well, we're changing that to where the mayor pro tem takes over until an election can be called or someone can be appointed. And the same goes for the whole council. Okay. We changed the wording a little bit in the recall petition for requirements that's there. We added in that we need the voter registration number, the ward you're representing, and your date and signature. Those aren't all in there right now. They were called, in the ward, it was a, come on, help me. I'm okay.
Yes, there was also the requirement that they have a public hearing within, instead of 5.
Yeah, well, that's
Okay.
that's the next best thing. Also, we clarified the rules on running for additional office or appointed to additional office. If you're, either way, we're requiring, this is for the city council or mayor, requires resignation upon filing for that office. You don't have to be elected to be, you're done. When you file for it, you're done.
John, was the word district what you were looking for?
Huh?
They were called districts?
No, it's the county.
Sometimes there were references to district, sometimes to precinct.
Precinct is what I was,
It should be
precinct's what
ward.
left my mind.
City uses wards.
We changed rules for calling a public hearing for office removal. And this was not because it was wrong, it's because the state laws changed and we have to post now much earlier than we did before. So we moved it, when a petition comes in, they've got 10 days to 15 days to call a public hearing for an officer to be removed. And there are a few other changes, most of them are due to language, but you have a full list with you. And any questions?
I would also point out there's a requirement for the city manager to reside within the city limits within 3 months unless authorized by council otherwise.
I didn't pull that one over, I meant to.
Council, any questions for Mayor King?
Just a quick question. Is this for us to look at and then we're going to talk about this later, or?
This will come up again.
That's to prepare you for when you come in to do the vote.
Okay.
And when you come in for the discussion for the ordinance.
So we will have we'll have a special meeting later this month in regard to this. And you can either make comments tonight if there's a discussion amongst councilmen to be had, or we can wait till that special meeting, because there will be a second reading in February for the final adoption, and if there's any specific changes. But you will go through each one of those and say yes or no, yes or no. Or somebody can make a motion that we approve them all.
No, it's yes or no for each one, and the citizens then will be able to say yes or no for each one. And if they say no, it's not a rule.
Council, any other questions?
Well, I know it was a time consuming, but thank you guys for doing this. I've been on the committee or two, and I know it's time consuming. I know you guys met a lot of times, but thank y'all for going through this and getting it done faster this time than last time.
It's great reading. If you find yourself up late.
Insomnia.
It'll put you to sleep.
Yeah, thank y'all so much.
Mayor King, thank you, sir.
Hello.
Okay, next is presentation number 3, a presentation on findings and recommendations of the utility rate study. Tim, is this you?
Yes, so Chris Acker with New Gen Strategies is here. If you recall, we brought them on board I think it was September, and they've moved very, very quickly and have prepared a presentation for council. And in your packet, there's additional supplemental information, but he's going to go through what their findings and recommendations are.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Chris Eckert with New Gen Strategies and Solutions. Pleasure to be with you tonight. I will move through this presentation as quickly as I can, but happy to answer any questions. And if there's anything that's confusing as I go along, please feel free to stop me. Sir, we're automatically forwarding. Thank you so much. As we talk about the water and sewer utility tonight, I do want to remind you, the utility does provide service to citizens, but it's also considered a business-type activity of government. The utility is tracked in what's called an enterprise or proprietary fund. So it is a business-type activity of government that we are dealing with. So when we think about the utility, we need to keep some basic business fundamentals in mind. For our utility to be successful, we need to make sure we have a sufficient revenue stream. That means our revenue needs to match or exceed our expenses. Our rates need to be sufficient to do that. Second thing we need to do is we need to look at our reserve position. Just like you wouldn't run around with $0 in your bank account, we don't want to run around with $0 in our utility account either. We want to make sure we maintain adequate reserves. This is particularly important for a water utility because we are subject to weather. When it rains, people use less water. We still have fixed expenses to cover. So during those times, we may have to use reserves to maintain adequate cash flows. So we need to make sure we maintain adequate reserves. Third thing we have to do is we have to make sure we are reinvesting in our business. We have pipes, plants, pumps, all of these things break down over time. We need to make capital investment in these items. We need to reinvest in our business. And all three of these things are really why I'm here tonight, and they all feed into our recommendations relative to rate adjustments going forward. So as we look at the utility right now, we do find a few key issues that we're noting for the utility. First is debt service coverage. The utility does have debt outstanding, so you have made promises to bondholders that you will cover your O&M expenses and you will pay your debt. Plus, there is a target coverage factor there. We don't just want enough money just to break even. We want a slight margin on top of that to provide some financial cushion to us. As we visited with your financial advisor, they recommend a 1.25 times debt service coverage factor. We are not meeting that right now. In fact, under current rates, you're projected not to meet a 1 times factor. So we have some concerns about your current rate levels, particularly in the current fiscal year for that. Relative to your reserves, you have a target reserve balance that you try and keep about 105 days. Right now, we're below that at the moment. Our reserves are insufficient. We are not where we need to be in our reserve position. Finally, the third key issue that we've identified is the need for capital improvements. You have about $3.97 million of capital improvements needed on the system. Towards the back of the presentation, I have provided for you a full capital plan. We've broken this out by project. I won't go through that here with you tonight, but you can see there are a number of capital investments needed on the system. We need our rates sufficient to be able to fund those capital improvements going forward. So as we look at the financial position of the utility, we boil that down to these three charts that you see on the screen here. I'm going to start at the bottom portion if you can. This is just looking at the revenues and expenses of the utility. The line there, that is your anticipated revenues. You see it going down a little bit in 2027 because we have some grant revenue we're utilizing here in 26. That goes away in 27. So from 27 on, that's just rate revenue that you see. But that vertical bar, those are your expenses. Right now, you're in a position that your expenses exceed your revenues. You see that in the current fiscal year. You see that then also going forward 28, 29, 2030. In 2027, we're anticipating a sufficient position at that time because you do have some cost decreases that you are anticipating at this time. As we've spoken with city staff, we anticipate being able to decrease the transfers out of the utility fund. So there will be some reduction in expense, but then we'll be back in a revenue insufficient position under current rates as soon as 2028. Your debt service coverage in the upper left-hand corner, you are not meeting your target debt service coverage at this time. You are projected to meet it in the future as you increase your cash capital outlays, but we do have a concern in the current year for your position. However, to make those cash capital outlays, you need cash, you need revenue, and so that upper right-hand chart is where we get concerned there. If you were to execute on your capital plan but not increase rates, you would have to draw out of reserves. And what that chart is showing us is you have insufficient cash to be able to do that. So if you are going to reinvest in your business, you must adjust rates going forward to be able to fund those capital improvements. So as I spoke about that capital improvement plan here in 2026, we do not have any capital improvements in 2026 at this time. What we are anticipating is with some rate adjustments going forward, with growth going forward, we can increase those capital improvements as you see them from 27 to 2030. We've tried to phase those in over time. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would just say that the capital improvements in 2026 are entirely grant funded through the various grants that Gerald has gotten through the Post Oak Savannah or Texas Water Development Board. And the like. There's about 4 or 5 different ones. Right. So outside of those grants, we don't have any funding for it.
I appreciate that clarification. No rate-funded capital improvements going forward. But again, we are anticipating those will ramp up here, especially in those outer years, preparing for those, making sure our revenue stream is sufficient to fund those. Other key issues as we look at your rate design structure right now, specific to your water and sewer rate structure, you have what's called a two-part rate structure. There's a fixed charge, there's a variable charge. As we look at that fixed charge, particularly on the water side, we believe you have some room, some capacity to increase the fixed charge that you charge to larger meters. And the reason for that is when you think about a larger meter on the system, this is not just a basic residential meter, this is a larger meter, 1-inch, 2-inch, 3-inch meters on the system. Those meters, you have to be ready to meet the instantaneous demand of that meter. For example, if a business were to turn that meter on all the way, they can demand as much water as can go through that meter. You have to have sufficient capital on your side of the meter to meet that demand. Because that demand is greater, it drives more capital costs. We believe you should tie what you charge those meters to that capital cost. So we are recommending you do increase the fees for those larger meters and phase that in going into the future. Right now, you have the same rates for residential and commercial customers. There is no difference between residential and commercial customers. We did go and look at your comparator cities. We've looked at others in the area, and we do see a differential in residential and commercial rates in other communities. So what we have built in for you in an attempt to try and mitigate the impact on your residential customers is about a 15% differential between your residential and your commercial rates. So what you're going to see when we actually map this out here in a minute for customer impact, we have basically a one-time residential impact, but we have a small continuing impact for commercial customers going forward. We are recommending that you maintain your rate design philosophy between your inside and outside city customers. You charge your outside city customers more. We recommend you continue that. And I will remind you the last time you did increase rates was January 2024. So with that, what is our recommendation? Towards the conclusion slide, going beyond the conclusion slide, you can actually see the rate schedules that we're recommending for you. But right now, a average residential customer, again, this is looking at all of your residential customers in the city, averaging them out. Average usage in the city for residential customers is 5,100 gallons of water and 3,600 gallons of sewage. That bill right now is $111.71. We are recommending an adjustment to that would take that monthly bill to $125.99. That is a $14.28 monthly increase that we are recommending. However, you do see no increases there into the future. As we look into the future, we see the reduction in transfers coming out of the fund. We have also built in the anticipated growth that the city is experiencing. We believe this one-time adjustment will be sufficient to fund those capital improvements and get you through 2030. So we are anticipating a one-time adjustment to get you in a solid financial position. So that's the impact for residential customers. For commercial customers, right now your average usage under the commercial class is 11,200 gallons of water a month, 6,600 gallons of sewage. That bill runs $166.07. Our recommended rate schedule would take that monthly bill to $196.66. That is a $30.59 monthly increase. Unlike residential, there is a small continuing impact to those commercial customers as we phase in that differential between your residential and commercial customers going forward. So there is anticipated to be a small impact there in 27 and 28. Every council, every board I'm in front of wants to know how do we look compared to our neighbors. So we prepare these charts, we present these charts, but every time I do, I remind councils that any comparison like this is not an apples to apples comparison. Every city is different. Cities are in different growth patterns. They're in different positions relative to their capital improvements. So you have to take all those differentials into account when you're looking at any type of comparison. But the cities you see on the screen here, again, the average residential customer, $111.71. That puts you between Burnett and Lago Vista at the moment. Our recommended adjustment, taking that to $125.99, you would be below Taylor, above Hutto. However, I will remind you, I'm comparing your future bill to everybody else's bill today. Cities are looking at rates all the time. They're adjusting pricing all the time. So if you rerun this in 3 months, you rerun it in 6 months, you rerun it in 12 months, it will potentially look different at that time as cities make the decisions needed to properly fund their utilities. So that's our residential comparison. This is our commercial comparison. Again, 11,200 gallons water, 6,600 gallons sewer. Right now that bill's $166.07. You see with our recommendation, that would take that to $196.66. So again, bumping right above Burnett within this comparison. As we look at that anticipated financial performance, this increase does restore your financial position for 26. You're in a very solid debt service coverage position going forward. This also restores your reserves over time and puts you in a revenue sufficient position. You'll note in 29 and 2030, if the growth comes as anticipated, you may even have a few extra dollars to put to capital improvements. So that is something to note there out into the future. You will have other capital improvements that arise on the system that you'll need to fund. This will hopefully put you in a better position to meet those needs at that time. So I know I've thrown a lot at you. It's a little like drinking from a fire hose. Beyond this slide, there are supplemental slides where you can see the full capital improvement program broken down by project. We also have our recommended rate schedules there presented for you there as well. But let me answer any questions I can for you at this time.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You reference our recommended rate increase amounts to keep up with the expenses. And we didn't dive into expenses. I would like to know why our expenses are what they are and why we're not better managing our expenses currently. I'm not carte blanche for casting a rate increase on residents. I will tell you that right now. That's where I sit. And did your group dive into why our expenses are such as they are?
So-
and continuing to grow?
Yeah. So when we look at rates, we look at your budget. You as the council have gone in through a process. You have adopted a budget. You as a council have said that is our policy. That is what we need to run the utility. That is what we have based our rate analysis on. I have not gone in and done a deep dive to determine are there areas where you should be budgeting differently. That is outside the scope of our study. I'm relying on you as the council to say this is our budget. This is our financial need. My job is to make sure you can get there.
So your analysis on expenses was basically just off of our budget?
Yes, sir.
Not in-depth analysis on the water systems and
No, sir.
Inefficiencies we may or may not have?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I would say, Mayor, that a large chunk of our current rate is the debt service that we're paying on the Texas Water Development Board, because there's two $9 million, they're not grants, they're actually zero interest or low interest loans mostly. And there's actually more of that from previous, so I think it's a total of about $23 million that we're paying back at this point right now. So that's a big thing for the city, and we raised rates previously.
We did.
To address those things, but that's the reason why our rates where they are currently. There's some other things in there that I would like to be able to change in the budget, but they're not going to have major impact. As for instance, the city secretary being funded entirely out of the water utility is something I would like to be able to change in the future. The water and sewer fund, I think, is transferring money to the general fund on an annual basis. I would eliminate that as well. But until we have sufficient revenue, I really can't make those changes.
I have a request to task you and Gerald with, prior to next discussions on this item, to have held a meeting with Post Oak Savannah to see what their forecast for grants, future grants looks like.
Okay.
That our municipality would be eligible for.
I know he is working on an application here in the very near future, so we will continue to see what that longer-term projection forecast looks like.
And I guess we still continue to work with the Texas Water Development Board in regard to grants as well.
Well, and we were just talking about that today. They have one, and it's mostly loan funding. I think it might be 50-50, but it was for lead-based sampling and replacement.
Thank you. Council, any other questions?
A question and a comment. Do you have any kind of data, historical data, on that monthly customer bill? No, I'm sorry, on the combined regional bill, say over the past 5 years?
Unfortunately, I don't have full history, but I can look at some of the history we do have.
Okay.
So we can try and run that out for you.
I mean, I'm just a little concerned being higher than Hutto when they have every
Understand.
amenity in the world.
Understand.
In that town.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to see how fast they got to that level where they were 5 years ago, maybe.
Okay. I'll see what we can put together.
And one thing that's really important to remember is that the water and sewer rates that we pay just support water and sewer. Or at least they're supposed to just support water and sewer. And right now, like I say, they have the city secretary as well. But, so it doesn't go to fix streets or to pay for police officers or anything else. That's all general fund. Water and sewer is strictly an enterprise fund that works by itself.
And I guess, too, we talked before where we got a little wonky, if the right word is, with trash. That doesn't fit in anywhere in this formula.
Yeah, so one of the things that, and I don't know if we can address this, but our solid waste is actually in our enterprise fund. And I've seen it in the general fund or standalone outside of the water and sewer fund. For Rockdale, it actually is part of the general fund, or part of the enterprise fund. So I don't know how separating that.
Yeah, so trash does not come into this. We take that out, but it is important when you think about trash service. That's an enterprise as well. It is a business type activity of government, should stand on its own, just as we're trying to do with the water and sewer fund. So.
And I want you to know my energy was not around your presentation.
Completely
Please
understand, yes, sir.
Very good presentation.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's the haircut. I know. I get it.
I think I'm an angry bald man. Council, any other questions?
Just for you, Mayor Ward.
Thank you very much.
I know you have done you've been very intentional, done a good job of communicating things to our citizens. And water has always been such a sensitive issue, and people who may still be complaining about orange water and whatnot, and yet we're paying rates and all. I just think it's an ongoing education that needs to take place, and I encourage you on this one as well.
Sure, thank you.
Communicate that.
I appreciate that recommendation.
I agree with that. Also, I think it might be good to know for the citizens, those two $9 million loans, like what were they for, and so forth. If we could have that and to add to Mr. Ward's, sharing of information. Because I think that even for myself, like, what did we spend that on? When was that?
It is current ongoing Phase 2 water line replacement program, and the other one is the utility, or excuse me, the wastewater treatment plant improvements that are ongoing right now. So there was both of those projects were awarded last year, but Phase 1, Phase 1 was actually awarded and completed about the time I got here. So the water line relocation project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Thank you for the information.
All right, thank you again for your
Thank
time
you.
tonight.
Appreciate it.
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Moving on to final presentation is a presentation from the Rockdale Police Department Annual Racial Profiling Report for 2025.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I will try to keep my remarks brief, although this is an important report to share with you all. But my Houston Texans are playing, so I'm going to try to get us out of here real quick. But I'm happy to answer any questions that we may have over this.
I thought that's what was on the TV down here. These ladies look so interesting.
Hey, can we make that happen? I'll stay here all night. State law requires all law enforcement agencies who conduct traffic stops each year to compile all the stats as it relates to the race of the individual that we encountered on the traffic stop, and record all these stats and submit a yearly report to TCOL, which is the governing agency who governs all law enforcement agencies throughout the state. And to do that, we have to present it to our council first, make the council and our citizens aware of what our stats look like and how we're policing our community as it relates to traffic stops. And then once it's received by you all, then I submit that report to the state. And so just a brief overview of traffic stops conducted this year alone. It looks like our agency conducted 2,468 total traffic stops this year. And within that, we keep stats as far as the race and ethnicity of the individuals who are operating the motor vehicles, what the stop was for, whether it be a moving violation or vehicle violation, other law violation, whether or not the race of the individual operating that motor vehicle was known to the officer prior to the stop, whether an arrest was made as a result of that stop, whether a search was conducted, if a search was conducted, whether contraband was located or not, and so on and so forth, how many citations were written, how many warning citations were written, and all this is broken down by race.
Jay, real quick.
Sure.
How do y'all find out the race? Is it on their driver's license, or is that where y'all go off?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And if in the case that they don't have a driver's license, we may ask.
Okay, fair enough.
During the course of that traffic stop, it is a field that we are required to fill out on the citations. We have to fill it out one way or the other. So.
You may not know, but I do. It prints out on there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And so, as of out of the 2,400 stops. As of the 2,400 stops that we made, was race known prior to the stop? The answer is no on 98.99% of the stops. 1.01% the race was known prior to, and that may be just the officer happened to see the individual drive by and identify what race they were that way, or maybe we had prior knowledge of the person operating that vehicle and we were looking for them for, say, a warrant or something like that, so we knew their race prior to the stop. Gender related to those stops. Let me see here if I'm reading these numbers correctly. 67.98% of those stops were white females, 17% Hispanic females, 11% black females, and then Asian and Alaska, American Indian, things like that go down significantly after that. Excuse me. Males were 58% of the time white males. 24% of the time were Hispanic males, 12% black males, and it drops down after that. The reason for the stop being a moving traffic violation. 1,900 of those stops were moving violations. 61% were, let me see. Were white, 22% Hispanic, 11% black, and then it declined significantly after that according to these stats. Vehicle traffic violation was 530 total, 63% white male, or white, and 20% Hispanic, 14% black. Lower after that. Get down to things like searches conducted as a result of the stop. 62% of the searches, no searches conducted were 2,404. 64 total searches were done as a result of these traffic stops throughout the year. So 64 out of the year. Seems to me to be a little bit low sometimes, but the numbers are the numbers. Of those searches that were done, 43% were white drivers, 32% Hispanic, 23% black. The reason for the search, whether it be consent search or probable cause search, 15 of those searches of those 64 conducted were consent searches. 60% of those were white, 26% Hispanic, 13% black. 4 of those searches were conducted incident to arrest, meaning we had already placed the individual under arrest, and by that we searched incident to arrest. After that, of those, 50% white, 25% Hispanic, 25% black. So they were even on Hispanic and black population. 35 of those 64 stops were probable cause searches, meaning the officer had probable cause existed to allow them to search the vehicle without a warrant and without consent, whether it be something in plain sight that we saw, or we smelled contraband, alcohol, or something like that gave us a reason to search the car without a warrant. Of those probable cause searches, 34% were white, 40% were Hispanic, 25% were black. Of the searches conducted, 14 of the searches resulted in no contraband. 64 of those searches, 31 of those searches resulted in contraband being located. Now the contraband located, let's see. Man, this just goes into the weeds here. 45% of those were conducted on white drivers that resulted in an arrest, 45%. 38% Hispanic, 16% black. We'll get on, I'm going to skip forward here to results of the stop, whether it be a citation and arrest, or a written warning. So there was a total of 2,468 stops, 767 resulted in a citation, and that was 52% of those 767 were white, 30% were Hispanic, 11% were black. 8 received a citation and arrest. Written warnings, a total of the 2,400 stops, written warnings were issued 1,600 times. So roughly, just over half were warnings issued instead of citations. Written warnings and arrests only occurred 10 times throughout all those stops. We had 9 arrests based on outstanding warrants, 5 arrested on penal code violations, and 4 arrests as a violation of traffic law. And according to this report here, we have, of the 2,468 stops, no use of force was used 2,468 times, which is an outstanding number, in my opinion, as the chief of police, knowing that we made those arrests were made and no physical force was having to be used on the drivers of those vehicles to effect that arrest. And what we classify as force used, a reportable use of force, would be anything above just physically taking somebody into custody. So you're having to strike somebody or use intermediate weapons, pepper spray, taser, things like that to effect the arrest. Our officers were able to effect those arrests with 0 use of force, which I think is an improvement that we've seen over the years. So, yeah. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you all may have if I can.
Council, any questions for Chief Metters?
Thank you for doing this. I know I read through it. It was pretty interesting to me. Would you say that's safe to say the consensus is that we don't have a racial profiling issue in our town? I mean, from the numbers I read, would that be
Yes.
safe to say?
I believe that based on the report, but more so based on knowing my officers, and I would tell you that to be true. Yes.
I know that the staff, it's always fluid, and we always have a challenge hiring and getting people to stay with us, but what is the current demographic of our officer corps?
Yes. Right now we have 2 full-time female police officers. We have a total of 13, I'm always measuring this number, 13 sworn positions counting me down. 2 of those are female. The rest are, I believe they are all white male. And the 2 females that we have are white females. Our other officers that we have that may be of other ethnicities have moved on to other agencies and bigger and better things, and that is what it is. But we absolutely, and I as the chief, absolutely strive to pick the most qualified candidate for our position, whether it be female or what ethnicity. Doesn't matter to me. I want the most qualified candidate. So, yeah.
I just had a comment. I recently attended a school board meeting, and your numbers, the breakdown by percentage of people, matches pretty closely to what their student ratio is. So that kind of tells me that you're pretty dead on in the breakdown of people of what those should be.
Yes, sir. I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Council, any other questions or comments for Chief Metters? Chief, again, thank you to you and your department for the hard work y'all do for our citizens.
It's our privilege.
It's
Thank
much
you.
appreciated.
Thank you.
Council, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'll ask before entertaining action on the consent agenda, is there any items you would like to have removed out of the agenda into the regular agenda? Being no request, I'll now consider action on the consent agenda as written.
Make a motion that we accept them as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to accept the consent agenda as written. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor, said motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Moving on to our regular agenda, item 9, consider and take any necessary action regarding an amendment to the HR policy. Tim?
So Tiffany, I excused her from the meeting tonight. I told her I would cover this with council. But currently, part-time employees for the city of Rockdale do not receive any benefits, including retirement, insurance, vacation, sick, and holiday pay. And as far as I know, they never have. But it was recently discovered that in our Rockdale personnel policy that it stipulates that they're supposed to receive certain benefits. But the problem is offering retirement benefits to our part-time employees may be contrary to the TMRS rules if they don't work enough hours, And also, it would be in contradiction to our contract with our insurance provider to provide part-time personnel with these benefits. So what we are recommending is the following change to the policy in section 5.04. It's basically a definition: part-time employees will only receive pay for the time actually worked, which time must be verified by the appropriate department head. Part-time employees are not eligible for vacation, sick leave, holiday benefits, retirement insurance, or other benefits. And then in section 6.03, an employee who regularly is scheduled and will work less than an established workday or work week, and works on average of less than 30 hours per week shall be considered a part-time employee. Employee who is hired for a specific season or period of time not to exceed 6 months in length shall be considered a temporary employee. And a temporary employee may work a normal workday and earn overtime accordingly during the duration of their assignment. But part-time and temporary employees shall not be eligible to receive insurance, vacation, sick, or holiday leave, or other benefits available to full-time employees. But that part-time and temporary employees may only receive retirement benefits if they qualify for those benefits under TMRS rules. So that basically cleans up the ordinance to reflect what's currently happening. And if y'all want to stay with the current policy, then we would have to change that and make that adjustment in our budget.
And this is the first reading that council is hearing tonight.
Yes, this is not, I'm so sorry, this is not an ordinance. The staff
This
is
is a
recommending.
policy.
This is a policy. So it's not first reading.
Doesn't require first and or second reading, just
It's
requires a motion.
A motion
for
to
or against
approve the policy amendment to council for the first.
Out of curiosity, and Barbara, you've looked at this and see no issues or anything, red flags? Or does anything fall on your desk?
I have had a chance to review it. I don't see, I
Anything
mean,
out of
it's,
the ordinary, anything to worry about?
I mean, it's unique to Rockdale, but I don't see anything untoward with it.
When you say it's unique to Rockdale to pay temporary or personnel?
Well, I mean, your personnel policy is unique in some respects to Rockdale. This, if you're speaking of this particular provision, or what was recommended about making the change, I don't see that necessarily unique. I see that as something that is fairly common.
Right.
So,
Fair enough.
Tim, I'm just curious, how many part-time employees do we have?
So we had part-time employees at the animal shelter. We have part-time employees at the library. We have part-time employees at the
Dispatch.
yes, I guess dispatch, because they do it. They I don't know if they're considered contract employees or part-time employees that come in when they're needed. But there's also there was another place. The judge is considered a part-time employee. So, and the pool has lifeguards, but they're technically not our employees.
Those are YMCA or?
Those would be considered YMCA employees.
And I understand it's staff's recommendation to council to revise this policy.
Yes, it is, and that would basically to reflect current practice.
Yes. Okay. Council, I'll entertain action on this policy revision, potential policy revision.
I'll make a motion that we amend the policy as presented.
A motion and a second on the floor to amend the policy changes as presented. Is there any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Agenda item 10, consider and take any necessary action on the first reading of an ordinance ordering and establishing procedures for the 2026 general election to elect one council member for the East Ward and one council member for the West Ward in the city of Rockdale.
So this is what we have to do every year to start the election process. Shannon has handled this, and everything is there. I did want her to address council and let you know, and the public, while this is just the first reading of this ordinance, it is for one position in the East Ward and one position in the West Ward. They're up for re-election, and but those packets that are available as of when? So Wednesday, the 14th, those application packets will.
What we advertise on the radio, on the Facebook, and the paper, what all we get out, people know, there's a lot of people know how to run the city. They
Right, well, I actually have it on my agenda to talk about on Hometown Highlights.
Make sure they know.
On the radio, this Tuesday, tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
But we do put it on our website and social media, and there's a requirement by state law to post it in certain ways.
All right.
Council, any other questions for Tim on this? I'll entertain action on the first reading of this.
I move that we approve line item 10 as read.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the first reading as read of the ordinance on agenda item number 10. Is there any discussion?
Only that the deadline to turn in applications is February 15th.
February 15th is the deadline for applications.
Yes.
Understood. I have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? All in favor said motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes.
15th, that's, you said February 15th?
I think so, Friday?
No, that'd be oh, hang on. It's Saturday. 'Cause Valentine's is on the 14th. That's actually Sunday. 15th, on
Friday.
the 13th, okay. All right.
Okay. Anything else? Agenda item number 11 is to conduct a public hearing and consider taking any necessary action approving the first reading of an ordinance approving the petition for annexation of property located at the 600 block of North FM 908, property ID 17534, Rockdale, Texas 76567. I have 6:56 PM, and the public hearing is now officially open at 6:56 PM.
And so, Mayor, I would just make sure you're aware, and people, there's two items on the agenda tonight regarding this particular.
Yes.
This is in regard to the annexation of that particular property.
And the second one is in regard to potential rezoning.
That's correct. Basically, the Rockdale MDD had purchased the 100-acre tract at the end of October 2025 with the intended purpose of developing it as new industrial park. They are currently in negotiations with a developer to partner with them to develop the proper project. That's not to say the developer is not the business. The developer is the one that will bring industry and businesses to the site. They're planning for the extension of Rockdale municipal utilities, water and sewer to serve the property. They've submitted a petition to be voluntarily annexed into the city, and had requested that in part of that consideration be that it be rezoned. At the last council meeting, they accepted their petition and set tonight as the public hearing, so that is where we stand currently.
We do have two persons signed up to speak in regard to the public hearing. I will address that now. First signed up is Jerry McPeak at 571 East Highway 79. Jerry, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Okay, I'm Jerry McPeak. My wife Dee Dee is sitting there. We came to Rockdale in 1986 on a 3-week turbine overhaul. I'm an old wore-out millwright. We've been here ever since. Rockdale's become our home. Rockdale's been very good for us. We like it here. Got lots of friends, got a good church, just a good place to be. We understand that growth is coming to Rockdale, and that's a good thing. Growth needs to be managed. This particular piece of property that is up for this industrial park doesn't seem like the right piece of property to me. There was a similar piece of property a number of years ago, just right across off of Ackerman instead of Main. It went nowhere. Nobody ever did anything with it. It just sat there. So this property's in similar location. It's the ingress and egress is not good. It's off Highway 908. The only access to a major highway is right through downtown. So I just don't think that's a good location for that. The meeting that was held for this on a hearing was at 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. I don't think that was a good time to have a meeting. It was also the letter was sent out only to people that live within 200 feet of that location of that property. That piece of property doesn't only affect the people that live within 200 feet of it. It affects the whole city. It affects the whole community. And when I say community, I'm talking about outside of Rockdale. I live just outside the Rockdale city limits. I live right this side of the KC Hall. But I consider myself a Rockdalian. I'm part of the city. I want to see it grow, but I want to see it done properly. I think the people also need to know and have a right to know what kind of industry you're talking about putting out there. You're just saying industrial park. You got somebody that's hired to bring industry in. I think people need to know what kind of industry are you talking about bringing in there. It's going to make a big difference on whether you want it there or not. The way this is handled, and of course I kind of got in on it last minute, so I don't know everything, but it almost seems like it was just a done deal from the start, like it was everybody already knows. Evidently the MDD bought the property, am I correct on that?
I'll give you 1 more minute, Mr. McPeak.
MDD bought the property. It just seems like it's a done deal from the word go. There hadn't been enough a chance for the public to share and knowledge to the public, and then the public opportunity to come back. So I'll just say this, I'll wrap up with this. I think both agenda items 11 and 12 should be tabled for more public input and more info about what will happen on that property, and how are you going to handle the increased traffic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Pam Morrison lives at 691 North FM 908 in Rockdale, Texas. I'll remind you, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I live right across the street from where this industrial park is supposedly going in. This article from the Austin Business Journal was from October, right after the MDD bought the property. Already, he was talking about, this is Jim Gibson, the executive director, about, he was simultaneously working on a master development agreement with an unidentified developer that responded to an invitation-only request for qualifications to help build out the site. This tells me this was already a done deal before it even started, before we even heard about it, because he's already working with somebody. The property hasn't been annexed, they haven't changed the zone on it, but he's already working with somebody. So are we just going through the motions here? Because by law, there has to be 2 meetings? That's my question. But he also was saying that the site will house everything from tilt wall concrete buildings that are 250,000 square feet to smaller buildings between 2,500 and 7,500 square feet with warehouse, office space, and outdoor storage. That isn't what we know. He doesn't know what they're going to put there. So we have no idea what can go in there. There's a whole list of things that can go in under industrial zoning, and they're not really good. What that's going to do to our property values is decrease them. With that, would you want that in front of your house when you try to sell it? I think not. The traffic noise on a 2-lane farm to market road, the additional traffic, the potential pollution, there's just a lot of environmental issues that I don't think they're taking into effect there. Not only that, but the increase in the infrastructure needs, they don't have it. You know, we're a 2-lane road there. And all these properties that surround this one piece of land, now they may look at them as just properties. People's homes are on those properties. Those are our homes on there. This are sanctuaries. This is where, our investments. And now we're going to look at an industrial park right across the street from where we live or right surrounding us. I'm in agreement with Jerry that this needs to be tabled and more time needs to be taken because it just feels like this was already a done deal to begin with, and we're just going through the motions here of just having the 2 meetings because I believe that's required by law. And so we're checking off the boxes before we go ahead and move on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. Anyone else prefer to speak in regard to the public hearing before I close the public hearing? Anyone else choose to speak? I will close the public hearing at 7:05 p.m. Tim?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So this is land that the MDD had looked at purchasing probably starting about 5 months ago and have been talking about it at their meetings about for an industrial project. I know I have talked about it on the radio on a couple of occasions. And in addition to that, there was an industry that has come to an MDD meeting in open session and talked about potentially locating at this site. So that I think that the intent has been transparent as far as what their efforts have been. I think there's ways that we can actually get that out there more, but I don't think there's been any attempt to hide this. This is something that they have been charged with as far as creating industrial development in the city. I know that they originally were looking at area on the east end of the city, and they'd spent quite a bit of time working with a property over there, and that has not worked out, primarily because of the fact that they didn't have ownership of the property. This is the area that they actually have ownership and control, and so they are looking at developing it. As far as why we're looking for industrial development, we all know that we struggle with a very high local ad valorem tax rate for the city of Rockdale at 85 cents. The only way that's going to drop is if we are able to make significant investments, and that is the highest, as stated by the MDD board. That is their primary objective, is to create additional jobs and ad valorem through industrial development, and so this does address that. As far as being this particular item is for annexation. We'll have separate discussion for the zoning following this, but I don't know. State law has made it extremely difficult to annex property. And for whenever you do get a petition and request for annexation, I don't know where it's not a done deal that the city's going to do that if we can provide the services necessary. And in this case, the MDD is talking about paying for the extension of utility services to that area. So it is a required process that we go through.
City Manager, just to make sure everyone understands, the city cannot annex on their own, correct?
The city.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes. So we used to be able to, but the legislature has passed laws that makes involuntary annexation not possible, or extremely rare under, I don't know what condition, but I'm sure there probably are some exceptions to that. But voluntary annexation, meaning the person that owns the property asks for the property to be annexed into the city. And they do that because of the fact that they need municipal services like water and sewer generally. In this case, the MDD as a partner with the city, wants to help grow our assessed value, so it'll be beneficial in the long run to everybody.
I didn't attend the meeting, the zoning meeting. I watched the YouTube video, and I learned quite a bit watching it. And so if I'm wrong, please, I know Ben did a great job speaking. Jim did a great job speaking. Correct me where I'm wrong. One was about the annexation.
No, so the Plan Commission meeting was about the rezoning, which was.
Right, I'm just saying, watching it and seeing about this situation here is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. I learned about you cannot be forced to annex, they have to be asked. If the city or the MDD wasn't purchasing this, if an individual had it, there's no rules you can apply to them. Is that correct? They can do basically what they want. Is that correct? Anybody?
If it is not annexed.
No, not the county. I said like an individual, if a business went and bought that on their own, there's really no regulations we can put on them.
If they stayed outside the city, then the city would have the only regulations we would be able to implement would be plating.
Okay.
But not zoning or not development.
And these like this, and not to throw the county, anything, but they have less regulations, I guess, that could go towards it.
Yeah, law greatly restricts what we can.
Right. By the city doing theirs, at least there is codes that can be enforced, pollution type things, lighting, stuff like that. There's all kinds of list of things at least we can put on the property to help out to some extent. Am I still going on the road pretty good?
Speak to those specifically. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Mayor and Council. Yes, I mean, the city is far stricter than the county, just traditionally, any city is. And so what was spoken about at the Planning Commission was if we turn this project down and if the MDD doesn't move forward with it and they sell it to someone else that wants to, they don't have to annex because it's all voluntary. And if they don't annex, there's no zoning as far as city standards are concerned, so they're subject to county regulations, which is far less strict than what cities have, which means it's a plethora of things that can go out there. That wouldn't require notification to the property owners that was received from the city because we're bound by state law to tell you when zoning changes and when annexation requests happen.
And also, is Jim here? Jim, and the property has not closed yet, has it? Or has it closed? It has, okay. But every tenant has to go through pre-approval through you guys as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Not the developer. The developer can just go, I'm putting this person out here. You have no say-so about it. You guys have to. Okay.
And I know everything as simple as signage. I know the new urgent care out there. I'm sure they didn't want to put in that big expensive sign.
Right. I mean, they're under every code you've adopted. So they would have parking standards. They would have signage standards, screening standards, landscaping standards, lighting, the whole 9 yards. They'll have all those standards on them before they can operate.
Yes, sir, Doug. Go ahead. Please approach. Doug Williams is the chairman of our planning committee.
Yeah, I just wanted to go on record on some of the statements being made in town as far as both the annexation and the rezone is considered. And one of the concessions or conversations is that this was a done deal. For council's knowledge, I received my packet on Friday for the Tuesday meeting. I did not hear the presentation until Tuesday at the meeting, so I had no knowledge other than a request for annexation and what would be going in there. And I'm actually kind of upset because we originally made a master plan that we recommended this be residential, and it's even in the Century Plan. They thought that was a good idea. But when it's presented to you that you'll lose control hope not, if Jim decides to say, I had enough of Rockdale, I'm going to still go do this in the county, he's in the county, and we lose all the pluses that we could have, providing water and all that. And that's what I learned at the presentation. I really felt embarrassed going against what we had planned those many years ago, and it reveals that my crystal ball has a little smoke in it. It's not really clear that, trying to forecast the future is not as easy as you might think it would be. So we're here now because Rockdale's changing. So any questions, I'll answer you. The other question I did want to address is the 1:30 meeting. Just to remind the new council members, whenever we have a commissioner come on board, we reevaluate our times, and even by including staff, the holdover time for them, if we had a meeting tonight that runs at 10 o'clock and then tomorrow night we have a planning and zoning commission, they have to stay after hours for all of that. So it is a little bit more convenient for them to meet during business hours here at this location. And we don't have any nefarious plan to hide it. If we did, we'd turn off the cameras and the microphones and we'd go about our nefarious business. We meet when it's convenient for all the commissioners. Period. That's all there is to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Tim, you did have we received an email.
For the next public hearing.
Sir?
That is for the next public hearing.
Okay, thank you. for that clarification.
And this may go on in the next one we're talking about. We can't vote on anything tonight anyway.
This is the first reading you would be voting on.
This would be to
We
accept
can't,
the
is
first
that not
reading.
correct? We have to have 75%.
Well, it's
Majority?
75% approval of what's here tonight, so 3/4 would have to vote yes twice.
Tonight.
And is that for the approval of the ordinance? Barbara, can you speak on this?
Well, you're saying of who's in attendance, or?
It's 75% of the people, and this is for the zoning item,
Okay.
not the annexation.
So my question for Barbara is, the supermajority requirement, is that to approve the ordinance, or the second reading require the excuse me, the first reading? To accept the first reading, does that require supermajority?
I want to make sure I'm understanding, are we speaking of this item or the next item?
That I don't know.
So Ben just explained it to us. To annex, it does not require a supermajority. To rezone, council, it requires a supermajority.
Of who's in
Right.
attendance, not of the whole six. I mean, if four's here, I mean, they.
Or in attendance would require, I don't want to put anything in your mind, so I'm not going to speak to that, but.
It
That's a
would be
big-
on your second reading.
But still, I'd like to know, is it 75% of the six?
75%
or
of the
who's
6
in
people that vote, so you would have to have 5 of 6.
Right.
Or
in
6.
attendance? Jim, not to put you on the hot seat, but I think we need to. Can you get a list? I know I'm not asking names of companies that would be in there, but like types of companies that would fall into industrial on the one side. I know on the video, I watched you say, we're not doing creosote plants and we're not gonna do a slaughterhouse.
Right.
Is there anything you can put together and say, these are the ones that are only allowed? I mean, something like that?
I mean, I would be hesitant to do that just because I don't want to limit future opportunities that may come up that we don't think about, if that makes sense. I would, to answer your question, I would default to whatever the city's allowable uses in industrial are. But I can't speak for the board. I can speak for myself, and I know I've had a conversation with Mayor Ward a couple of years ago that we have a pretty high standard as far as what we want to come in. We're not so desperate that we'll take anything. We don't want some big nasty chemical plant or the creosote plant or the slaughterhouse or anything like that. But at the same time, you just never know what you're going to get. I mean, I would not have thought a company that makes circuit boards for electrical motors would consider Rockdale, Texas.
No, I agree with
yeah.
you, but you know, they'll say nothing's a problem until it's a problem. And so we could all say no creosote plants. And then 10 years from now, we're all down the road and the next freshman comes in and goes, we love creosote plants.
Well, I know.
There's not something like that written in there.
I know we in our economic development plan we have a target industry list that is pretty detailed. We get down to the 4-digit NAICS codes, and there's about 10 or 12 of them.
So I have a question, kind of along Brad's line. We can't annex and then rezone for industrial, and then something comes up. There's not another vote to say, no, we don't really want you doing that there. Is that correct? As long as it falls under the industrial category of the city.
Ben says yes.
Is that a yes, Ben?
You can still say no.
You can still say no.
You cannot. If you rezone it to industrial, whatever you allow by law in industrial is allowed.
So if anything, you may want to look at your allowable uses for industrial.
But on the other hand, and this is, I mean, the MDD owns the property and can control it. But what I was telling Jim about earlier, if you sell it to XYZ Corporation,
They can do it, yeah, and then they go to
and
the
then
county and all that.
2 years from now, and because they're somebody that you want, 2 years from now, they go bankrupt and go out of business, you can't control who they sell their property to. And who comes in after that.
And Tim, you referenced that one of the potential candidates for this, if it is approved, voted on and approved, spoke in open session in regard to who they were and what they did. Am I correct in that?
At the MDD board, they did meet.
And with that being said, would you expand on that, please? Who that potential first tenant may be and what this company does?
Sure. So it was about May of 2024 that we received a visit from a company called Infinitum. They're based in Round Rock. And for the purpose of that visit, that was just to explore Rockdale. And one of the things that they're doing is they're applying, well, they've received some federal financing, some loans and grants. And so as part of that application that they were putting into the Department of Energy, they had to get with the community and craft a community impact statement. And that is, we're going to give back so many dollars to such and such organization and things like that. And I'm pretty sure Miss Esme was in that meeting, as was Mr. Perry. And so yeah, we've been talking with these guys for going on 2 years now. But it's been one thing or another, and that their decision has been delayed. Most recently, it was delayed because they were under a Department of Government Efficiency review. They got past that, and so now they've asked for an extension with the DOE. That they got that, and so now it's just a matter of them finding the right piece of land that works for them. So as part of that, you have the census tract that is around Rockdale, and it's a very small tract. And so the census tract around that surrounds Rockdale is very large, and that's the one that's designated as a coal community
census tract, or they got some kind of special designation because of the presence of the coal mine that was out here. And so they have to be in this big census tract, and so they could go anywhere in that census tract. But we want them as close to town as possible.
And that would get them new market tax credits, potentially?
No, not new market tax credits. It's this Department of Energy funding.
Oh, the Department of Energy grant that they're looking for.
And so, I'm sorry, so what they do, the presentation they made to the board, is they manufacture these, what looks like a circuit board. And so it goes in these high-efficiency electric motors, and instead of a regular electric motor that has the coil and the magnet that goes in it, and it's very heavy and it can break, the circuit board is very light, and so it's a magnet. That's what spins the motor.
I presume it's kind of a clean room type operation.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. To me, 100 acres is a nice little chunk of land. What is that for a manufacturing facility? Is that a single manufacturing facility? Could that be divided up into 2 or 3 manufacturing facilities?
That's a good question. It depends.
Smart guy.
I know. I get these prospect leads out of the governor's office or Opportunity Austin a couple times a week. One from the other day wanted like 400 acres.
Right.
Sometimes they want 10 or whatever. So it really, really just depends.
So everybody, as we're talking here, we're thinking about a manufacturing company. It could realistically be as a whole park and have multiple. Correct.
That's, I think, ideal. Yeah, well, and on the one hand, from a financial standpoint, you want a diversified, revenue stream, right?
Right.
From a community standpoint, we want a diversified economy. We want lots of little employers, as opposed to this community's history of where you rely on one big one.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And one thing we've been in conversation with is looking for how many acres?
Are you talking about infinitum?
Yeah.
That one is 7.
7 acres?
Okay.
Something like that. Less than 10.
And that was a pretty sizable investment in ad valorem.
Yeah, that was $100 million just for phase 1, about 140 jobs just for phase 1.
I hear comments and stuff about utilities and those things being cared for, but I don't feel like we've heard the answer as it relates to the roads. And I know that some of these, I think, are county roadways. I'm thankful for Judge Whitmire being here this evening. But anybody who's been following things over the last few months, it seems like there's been an uptick, not just in accidents, but in deadly accidents that have happened near home. And I travel these roads regularly. They are winding. They have speed limits that to me seem above what they should be. I've witnessed and have experienced stuff that was a danger to my life. And so I wish there was a component of this discussion that was addressing how we're going to improve and expand roadways. I don't know if that's a you or a judge, or
It's going to be
what.
908, so that's going to be the city and TxDOT on that one,
Okay.
because they have 908 in there. But yeah, that would definitely have to be addressed. Every place that we've done industrial development or housing development inside the county that's on a TxDOT controlled road. Sorry, I'm seeing that, so they see. Go to the microphone. Go to the microphone. You're going to give a microphone to a born-again politician? Whoa, that's a bad move.
And by the way, internal roads would be paid for by the MDD.
So 908 is TxDOT. So TxDOT requires everybody that comes in and buys. So in this case, it would be the city, because the city would purchase the property through the MDD. So the city would be responsible for adding turn lanes, because they would almost definitely require at least one set of turn lanes, because where that road curves, it may even require 2, one on the north side and then one on the south side, because you got a blind curve there on that deal. So in that case, the city's going to be responsible for paying to have that done as part of that development if they do that.
But correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't hear anything about that here this evening yet, have we?
What?
Roads.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No,
We
we haven't.
talked about utilities and whatnot, but I think it all needs to be considered and how we're going to do it and pay for it.
So back to what I was asking earlier, man, I'm just not getting it. I just, is there a way to have a list of what we will not accept? Is there a grade or in industrial levels and, to what extreme they are? And we say, yeah, we're not taking grade 1 or level 2, or is there anything we can do on that?
Sure. You could work with Ben
So we can establish, go ahead, Ben.
Well, I think this discussion is really for the next item. So if we want to table this and talk about it in zoning.
This discussion is directed towards annexation, and I agree, these questions are more so for the rezoning. Is that okay, council?
That's fine. I just know if we approve it, then we can't put the pace, that was a.
So the annexation should be, again, I think most of the objection is potentially regarding
The industrial.
zoning.
Okay, fair enough.
Any other questions? I'll entertain any action on the first reading of the annexation ordinance.
Well, as me or she.
On the
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. We will be on pause for just SB.
Oh, did you close the public hearing? Yes, you did.
I did close it at 7:05 PM. You're good. Okay, we are now at the point of entertaining action on the first reading of the annexation ordinance. I'll entertain any action on this item.
Well, Esme, this was in regard to the annexation. There's a lot more that will have discussion on be needed for the rezoning.
Any action on agenda item number 10, the first reading of an ordinance ordering and establishing procedures? I'm sorry, agenda item number 11. I apologize for that. Petition for annexation of the property.
I make a motion, we approve the reading of the annexation.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the first reading of the annexation ordinance. Again, council, this will require second reading, as will agenda item 12. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor of said motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Agenda item number 12, conduct a public hearing, consider and take any necessary action on a zoning request for property located in the 600 block of North FM 908, property ID 17534, to zone the property to industrial zoning classification. Before we proceed with this public hearing, I thought I understood someone to say, back during the previous discussion, that we need at least 5 council members here to vote on this. Is that correct?
For the first reading, Barbara, is the question, you need a supermajority to adopt a first reading of an ordinance.
Because this part required, since the number of residents that were affected responded, I think it was 21%.
Of the land area.
It requires a supermajority vote on council. One second, Doug, I'll get to you.
I'm sorry, I was not aware of the percentage of people who had responded in a certain fashion.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, yes, it would require a supermajority on the zoning.
So we would need to have a minimum of 5 council members present to
Yes.
entertain any type of,
Yes.
okay.
First reading?
FYI, you had 3 landowners that had like 60% of the area around it.
Yes.
You had 28 owners in there.
Right.
3 responded, but those 3 accounted for over 60% of the land mass, and so that requires the super.
Sure, I understand that. Thank you for that clarification. So it's my understanding, Barbara, council, that this agenda item will have to be tabled, if so
So-
chosen by council to be tabled.
So the verbiage that is actually in the ordinance indicates that because it's a 2 reading,
Yes,
that your
ma'am.
final reading is the one that controls with the supermajority.
Okay,
And so that's what I was getting clarification on, is what the full process here and how many people had filed and that sort of thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So you would be okay to go ahead and have some direction being given on your zoning
on the first reading.
on a first reading.
I understand.
But you would have to have a bit more people here for
Yes,
your
ma'am.
second reading.
Yes, ma'am, understand. Thank you.
And in the meantime, you may want to have some discussions about some of the things that Mr. Coffey had discussed and others.
Well said, yes, ma'am, thank
So
you.
by doing, if it does get passed tonight, it still does not, we still have to go to a second one, we can ask for more information before we.
It wouldn't be adopted tonight.
Right.
Just
Right.
have the first
Making
reading,
sure.
potentially.
Right.
Accept the first reading, and then we'd consider it for adoption after a second reading at the next meeting.
Okay, I have 7:33 PM. I'm now going to open the public hearing on regular agenda item 12. Again, Mr. McPeak.
Before
Yeah,
Mr.
go ahead.
McPeak, Mayor, I just wanted to put on record, Mr. Rodriguez asked me to put on public record that he's opposed to the zone change. I won't read the email to you. It is very well written. If you want to read it in your own time, you may, but he is in opposition.
Thank you. I'll remind you again, Mr. McPeak, you'll be given 3 minutes, sir.
Okay, I probably won't need that many.
Thank you.
Because I pretty much covered it all on the
Yes,
first
sir, I
one.
understand.
And I would like to make it clear, though, that I am definitely not opposed to getting some industry in the city, broadening our tax base a little bit.
Yes, sir.
I own one rent property. They've gone up, I don't know the percentage, but they've gone up well over, my appraisal on that one little property went from 46,000 to 198,000.
Yes, sir.
I've got some terrific renters in there. I don't want to lose them. So I'm covering most of that. So I want some industry in here. I'm for it. I just think that's the wrong piece of property. I think out by the airport, of course, I realize you get what you can. You can't always get what you want, you get what you can. But out by the airport, where you got Highway 77 frontage, be a terrific place for a industrial park, and you could still provide city services to that. And so that's where I'd like to see it. I would like to speak, and I mentioned in my first time up here about the ingress and egress to that particular piece of property out on 908. It'd be horrible. That housing development has caused a heck of a problem on traffic coming in and out. And somebody mentioned, you mentioned a left turn lane or turn lanes have to be put in there. No.
That was Judge Whitmire.
Judge Whitmire did. I would like to take this opportunity, and it's not even on this, but there's that turn lane they put in that turns off from 1712 or goes straight to 1712 and turns left. There's going to be a bad head-on collision right there one of these days. That's got to be fixed. That turn lane is just ridiculous. So anyway, her house, she mentioned, is right across from that property on 908. The speed limit going out of town past her house is 55 miles an hour. It doesn't go to 70 till you get past Charles Bland's house. The speed limit coming into town in front of her house is 70 miles an hour coming into town. It doesn't drop down to 55 miles an hour till down by the housing development down there, the Rockdale Housing Authority. So that needs to be fixed. But that's about all I've got to say. I just think it's the wrong piece of property. I'm for industry coming in.
Thank you, Mr. McPeak. Ms. Morrison?
Thank you. I too realize that Rockdale needs to grow. I agree with Jerry, though, that this piece of property is not where an industrial park needs to be. That, all those houses in that area and all that property is zoned residential. That property itself is zoned residential. So this is going to change the dynamic of what that neighborhood is. And I know it's going to affect our quality of life. I know it's going to affect our property values. It's not consistent. The zoning change is not consistent with the surrounding area. And so I also want to talk about, while I've got a minute, is I know that we live in the ETJ. So we do not get to participate in any city elections. So we did not get to vote for any of you. We also don't get to, we don't get any services from the city. Nothing is provided by the city for us. But yet, you all can make decisions that are going to affect us in a negative way. That, to me, is kind of unconstitutional, but that's a whole nother thing. But I just want to say that while they might have been having all these meetings at municipal development, we weren't any part of that. So we didn't find out about it until we got the letter in the mail. Right before Christmas. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. We're going to put an industrial park in across the street from your house. So, yeah, so that is... that's really all that I have to say on it, and I'm really hoping that you'll consider that there are other properties that are more like on the other side of 908, the south side, way out there. There's plenty of property around where you're not plopping an industrial park in the middle of a rural neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. Is there anyone else before I close the public hearing that wishes? I will allow you to speak. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You have 3 minutes. If you would, please tell us your name and your address.
My name is Kelsey Rutherford. I live at 1270 North FM 908.
Thank you.
I'm a little bitty piece of property right next to this on the other side of Encore. So I didn't sign up to talk, and I actually got a little bit emotional the first time because this is a lot, you know? You moved out here from the big city, brought our kids out here, we're like, this is great. We're gonna finish raising our kids out here in the country. We started a farm, you know, we got this whole thing going. I worked for the school district for 8 years. It's like, you know, we're like networked in this. And then one day, they're clearing the land across the street, and there's one of those sweet high school kids over there working. I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing? Oh, they want this cleared. For what? They're building a data factory here. Okay, cool. So now that's across the street from where we live, which is wonderful. I mean, the sound decibels are below requirements, so everything's legal and it's great. But it also really sucks because you can hear it. It sounds like air conditioning running 24/7, except during the summer when it's really hot outside because they have to cool it, you know, more. There's more work that goes into it, so then it becomes even louder. You can't escape that. You can't get away from it. Well, now these sweet kids come and they develop the land next to it. They survey the land next to us. I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing? Oh, the city is going to build some stuff out here. Oh, that's cool. What happens to all the animals that live out there that are now going to need a place to go? They're going to come to my property. I mean, granted, I have dogs to protect my animals, but, I mean, I have animals. Is the city going to make sure nothing happens? Like, what I hear here is that the city needs this, we want this, we're going to grow this, we need this money, we need this. Well, what about the rest of us that are not part of the city, that live outside of city limits? Who's going to stick up for us and protect us? Who's going to make sure that this factory or whatever goes up isn't butted up against our property? Who's gonna make sure there aren't people standing outside of our fences? I mean, I'm all for growth in Rockdale. I've had so many conversations with people out here and who get mad at me because I'm like, bring the growth. Y'all need it. Rockdale is behind on times, like in so many ways. Bring the growth, but build it where it needs to go. Not in the middle of a residential neighborhood surrounded by nothing but residences. Find another spot, put it somewhere else. And if you are gonna bring it, then by gosh, y'all be in control of it so that somebody has a say in what's going on out there, because, I mean, I don't want just anything right outside my door with lights blaring and noise adding to what's already there from the data factory. That's it. That's all I have, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the record, your last name again was? Rutherford, thank you. Anyone else want to speak during the public hearing?
I just want to say one thing. I know.
You're
Everybody
not
looks up and they're like, oh, crap. For a lot of people that didn't know this was going to go to planning and zoning, point of reference, I talked to Mayor Rodham this morning about this. A lot of folks, I had a couple folks at church talk to me about it yesterday. They didn't know. They didn't know it was going to go to planning and zoning. And planning and zoning committee meetings have to be when they have to be, just for that reason. But when I ran for office, one of the big things that I ran for office on was that what we call open stewardship, talking to people, making sure. Since I've taken office in 3 years, we've had 48 town halls that we've done in the evening at 6:30 at night all over the county. This is one of those things, y'all have a month before you get the rule on this, one way or the other. Have a town hall. I don't know how many people will show up. Sometimes I do them and 5 people show up. We did one the other night, 75 people showed up. I don't know, but at least have that opportunity for folks to, see what it is. Jim and them can put on put up some maps and stuff so people can see where it's going to be, what could possibly be out there, and let folks have a question and answer session just to answer those questions. We've done it. We agendize every one of them so that in case we have more than 3 of us on the commissioner's court there, we're legal. But it gives us the chance to workshop that, talk to people, and find out what they want to do, and I just recommend doing that. Real quick, one last thing on the roads. The city is the owner, so the city would have to do the road improvements. D.R. Horton, or not D.R. Horton, but Ranch Road Development did the turn lane you're talking about. And myself and Commissioner Denman were over here the other day with TxDOT. We walked all that and we showed them where the issues were, because I go to church out at the American Legion and I see it every Sunday. So we did walk that with them and show that to them and kind of go over that. And they're going to request that be improved. And then they'll probably actually do the work and charge Ranch Road for repairing that. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Judge. Unless there's anyone else who wants to speak during the public, Jim.
I may get myself in trouble for this, but so be it. I want to give a little bit of history and color to some of the comments that were made about why this property. So, long story, I'm trying to think. Dave, you may not have been on council. I started here going on 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And the first property that we looked at, let me back up. So y'all know that we have the property, the 166 acres on 487. Yes, that was the initial industrial park. And whenever I got here 4 years ago, it was, we need to do something with that property. Shannon knows, she was here. And, we decided that the best and highest use of that property was residential. Samsung had just announced, SLR had just announced that they were buying the Alcoa property. So it's okay, residential, that's the way we need to go. But then immediately we pivoted from that, we still need some kind of industrial product. The first place we looked at was 908 South, right across from the airport. Mr. Arlich had that property for sale. We found a developer, and we got this close to that guy buying it, and it literally fell apart at the 11th hour. And it's like, drats, okay, take 2, let's find another one. And then that's where we found that property at the corner of 77 and 79, and we spent a little bit of money and a lot of time trying to get that off the ground. That has not happened yet, but I still hold out hope that something's going to happen there, but that just fell apart. Nothing was going to happen with that anytime soon. So then it was, Samsung just announced that they have the deal with Tesla, or they're buying the chips from Tesla, or Tesla's going to buy Samsung's chips, and darn it, we got to get something here with one of these Samsung suppliers quicker rather than later. And so this property was available, it was for sale, city utilities were very, very close by, and the price was right. And so that's, I think I can speak for Rebecca, that's part of at least the board's thinking and Joyce, sorry, for why we move forward with that opportunity. So that's just a little bit of history as to how we got to this point.
Thank you, Jim.
Mayor, I'd like to say something.
Yes, ma'am, the public hearing is still open. Go ahead, Rebecca.
So I am Rebecca Lucky, and I am on the Rockdale MDD. I also, for those that don't, I was born and raised here, okay? Unfortunately, because of the economic status that we have here, for the last 36.5 years, I've worked at Texas A&M University. So I have a husband that has a business here. We are established. The first thing in my mind when we acquired this property was we have to protect our community, okay? I know an industrial park can damage a community or it can improve a community. And I am very strict, and I ask a lot of questions. I don't have Jim talk for me. I ask and demand a lot of questions because I want what's right for this community. That is for our residents as well. We had the opportunity to buy this property. If we did not buy it, a commercial group could buy it. Adamantly, when we were in session, that was one of the things that we talked about. So to protect our community, we did choose to buy this. We do want to develop it. We do not know what, but we do know we don't want any toxins. We know we do not want a heavy use. We know there's a lot of things that we don't want inside this small industrial park. So I guarantee you, I am open. Our board meetings are open. I do want the community to know about it. We've talked about town halls. I did not know, and that's my mistake, that the P&Z committee was even meeting. I don't have a concern of when they meet. I just have a concern that I didn't know that it was going before the committee, before widespread was happening here in the community. So that's my take on it as a board member, and I will tell you, I stand every single day to make this county better and this community. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak during the public hearing?
I'd like to say something just briefly. Thank you again, Rebecca, and everybody that serves on the MDD, and for the citizens affected. I want to say what I've experienced with the company that we spoke to. You know, I'm not a businesswoman. I'm a mom and a nurse. So whenever I have questions, maybe similar to Rebecca's, like, okay, X company, what are you going to do for us? How many jobs are you going to bring? Are you going to be a community partner? Are you invested? So I do believe that MDD made a good decision in this in respects to the other option, and I trust that they're going to make a good decision as to what they bring to the community. So thank you.
Any other persons like to speak before I close the public hearing? Now I'll close the public hearing at 7:50 p.m. Council, before you, you have the first reading in regard to agenda item number 12. Again, this will require a second reading. That second reading does require, if this one passes, a 75% supermajority.
Barbara? Mayor, had a question.
Sir?
Did you have a question?
No, sir. I was just making a comment. So I will entertain action on agenda item number 12, first reading.
Make a motion, we approve the first reading of the rezoning of the property at 600 block of North FM 908.
I'll second with the understanding we have a town hall.
Correct.
So I'm going to ask Council Member Willie to revise his motion.
Before the second reading.
Yes. Is that fair enough, Council Member Willie?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can we do that, Tim?
Yeah, that's fair.
With Jim, Ben, anybody that can get more information?
I make a motion, we approve the first reading of the rezoning ordinance for property located at 600 block of North FM 908, with the provision, before the second reading, we have a town hall meeting.
The motion on the floor, is there a second?
I second it.
A motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? I, as mayor, have some discussion. I would also like to see options for users and/or potential non-users in regard to the industrial, commercial type services that we would or would not want out there to protect the integrity of those areas.
Mayor, may I ask a question of Mr. Blanchard?
Yes, sir.
Ben, is that already set somewhere, what our industrial zoning requirements are?
Well, yeah, you do. I mean, you have a use table that sets that standard. If you want to be more strict than that table, we can certainly look at that. Me and Jim can get together and have that prepared before the town hall so we can discuss.
Okay.
That can still be done before the second reading.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if the council was interested, I don't want to put words in Jim's mouth, but you can always protect the property more by adding a planned unit development to it, where you would limit, you can have industrial zoning and limit the extremely heavy uses of industrial and keep the more moderate to low-end uses if you choose.
I believe that's what was done with the property I have, is that correct?
Yeah, so yours was commercial, and we only allowed a couple uses to make sure that you didn't harm the residents around you. Yeah, so it's possible.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Ben. Council, any other discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor of said motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Agenda item, excuse me. Agenda item number 13. Consider taking any necessary action on appointments to the Building Standards Committee. Tim?
So the Building Standards Committee, our commission, adjudicates on substandard structures, ordering repairs or demolition of those buildings that are brought to them by Mr. Blanchard. Currently, the board is supposed to be made up of 5 regular members and 3 alternates. It has not met in several years. Currently, all of the board members' terms have expired. When we reached out to them, there were 3: Bud Houston, Fernando Giles, and Weston McCorney were interested in continuing to serve on that committee. Those are the only applicants that we have right now. I'm asking council to approve their appointment to fill out the remainder of terms that would expire on 11/26 and 11/27. 2 of them would be to place 1 and 3, and 1 to place 2. And then also to seek help from the council and the community in getting people to submit an application for that board is extremely important.
So you're recommending, council approve?
The 3 applicants that we have.
Okay. Council, any questions?
They would be to specific terms.
Being no questions, I'll entertain action on this, agenda item number 13.
I make a motion that we accept the appointments for the Building Standing Commission. I guess, is it, say, renewal? Is that the term?
It is.
Extension?
It would actually be to appoint, it would be specific, to appoint, as an
Orlando,
example,
Weston,
Orlando Giles
Bud.
to serve in place number 2, or place number 3, Bud Houston to serve in place number 2, and Western
That's different from what's on here.
McCorney
That's different, isn't it?
to serve in place number 1.
Can you say that again? It's different on,
Yeah, that's different now.
Sorry?
Bud's gonna be in what places? He's got place 4 here right now, so Bud's gonna be which one?
I would suggest Bud for place 2, Fernando for place, Mr. Giles for place 3, and Mr. McCorney to place 1.
To have, Bud Houston in place, 2, Weston McCorney in place 1, and Fernando Giles in place 1 of the Building and Standard, place 3 in Building and Standard Commission. Sorry, Shannon.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Thank you for that. Is there any discussion? No discussion, we'll vote. All in favor, say motion, signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Agenda item number 14, consider to take any necessary action on appointments to the Planning Commission for expiring terms.
So I'll just say very, very briefly and have Lisa get up and speak. There are 2 positions that are currently vacant.
Oh, this Planning
This is
Commission.
planning.
Oh, I am so sorry.
It's not library board.
I skipped too many tabs.
Not yet.
Standards.
Staff is recommending reappointing Joan Ratliff and Charles Miles. Council on the Planning Zoning Commission.
Yeah, okay.
Tim, you clear? Council, we clear on this? I'll entertain action on this agenda item.
I'll do it again. Let's see if I can do better. Make a motion that we take staff's recommendation of reappointing Joan Ratcliffe and Charles Miles to the Planning Commission.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? No discussion, we'll vote. All in favor of said motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Item number 15, agenda item 15, consider taking any necessary actions on appointments to the Rockdale Library Board for expiring terms. You're up now, Tim.
Okay, basically there's 2 2 vacancies. The 2 existing board members have not reapplied. And we had 3 that applied.
So we have, the library board is made up of 8 members, and they are set by 3-year terms. This year, we had 2 board members that were up for, their terms were going to expire, was Ms. Belinda Hillhouse and Ms. Jan Stutzman. Ms. Jan Stutzman has decided not to reapply. Ms. Belinda did apply on the 11th hour, and she, as of today, has withdrawn her application. We did meet last Thursday on January 8th, and we interviewed 4 applicants, and Ms. Belinda was one. Her application was withdrawn. One of the other applicants lives outside the city limits, and we do have 2 applicants that are eligible to be on the board, Mr. Avi Gottlieb and Ms. Tiffany Witzel. And so the board recommends, that they be considered for the Library Advisory Board.
Okay. Council, any questions for Lisa?
Just thank you again for all you do, and the board as well.
And Avi is here also if council has any questions.
Avi.
That's all.
I got a lot of questions.
How do you say your last name? How do you say your last name? Gottlieb.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
He's a very huge supporter of the library, and really thank him for being here today.
Excellent.
So we still go with the boards, do their background on who they want on there, or who's applied, and they bring the recommendation to us, and it's for us to take the recommendation, or we can change it.
You can change it. Yeah, we actually, so I will say in the last several months, we started, whenever there were any vacancies or any reappointments coming up, we would advertise those on our website and on social media that those vacancies were there, encourage people to apply. Existing board members whose terms were expiring that wanted to reapply would have to submit new applications. The boards would then interview and make a recommendation, but ultimately, the appointment of these boards is up to the selected body, and so you can accept the recommendation or, and appoint those people or anybody else that meet the qualifications. In this case, they have to live in the city of Rockdale. And board members serve at the pleasure of council. So they can be reappointed or appointed at your pleasure for any or no reason. They're there to represent you.
Council, I think you have two very good recommendations.
Tiffany's the assistant superintendent, right?
Yes.
Yes, Tiffany is superintendent.
Lisa, we can continue your great things about y'all. You're doing a great job there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Got great
Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Council, in my opinion, you have two strong recommendations for you to consider. I'll entertain action on this agenda item.
Let me go for three, or does you want to jump in?
Hey, go ahead, go to roll.
I'll take the library board's recommendation of appointing Tiffany Wetzel and Avi Gottlieb. I nailed that. To library board.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second on the floor, is there any discussion? No discussion, will vote. All in favor said motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering your time to the city of Rockdale and our library board.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yes, sir. Moving on to agenda item 16. Conduct a public hearing. Consider taking any necessary action on the first reading of an ordinance authorizing an amendment to fiscal year 25-26 annual budget. Tim?
Yes, before you open a public hearing, I'll go ahead and explain what this is. So a few months ago, I talked to council about making an amendment to the budget to address the shortfalls in the fund balance that we had. And so I had gone through all those cuts with you, proposed cuts. And there was one particular one that we added back in, and that was for the dispatch positions that has been added back in. But here, there's a list of all of the proposed cuts, both to the general fund and to the enterprise fund. So there are approximately $785,000 in reductions in expenditures, and then there's also a $400,000 transfer from debt service from the enterprise fund debt service to the enterprise fund. And we're proposing to do that because the enterprise fund was carrying, I think, about $850,000 in fund balance, which was completely unnecessary. It had just built up and built up and built up over the years. And so we're proposing to transfer that as a one-time transfer. And by doing that, the general fund fund balance is being drawn down. Instead of drawing it down by $498,000, we're drawing it down $57,500. And the enterprise fund, instead of being drawn down $622,000, is actually, we're adding to the fund balance $102,000. So,
Thank you, Tim. Council, any questions for Tim?
Are we closer on that 105-day reserve?
this actually moves us $102,000 towards that 105 days. We are, it is this, on the general fund, on the enterprise fund.
Right.
We're still going backward on the general fund by about $57,000.
We can catch back up to that.
Yes, it's much better than it was.
Yes, much better.
But I will remind you, Mayor, that we do have a public hearing before any kind of discussion.
I have 8:04 PM. I officially open the public hearing for agenda item number 16 at 8:04 PM. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in regard to the public hearing for agenda item number 16? Anyone who wishes to speak at the public hearing? Being none, I'm going to close the public hearing section of this agenda item at 8:05 PM.
I would also point out, Mayor, that this is, in the past, the city has amended the budget via a resolution, which our charter stipulates that the budget is amended by resolution, but it's adopted by ordinance, so it creates a really odd animal. And so what Ms. Well, our city attorney, did actually is creates an ordinance/resolution for this amendment. It is being handled as an ordinance, but it kind of meets both, and hopefully we'll get that corrected through a charter.
So this is going to require two readings as
It will require two readings.
Okay. Council, tonight, what you're debating on a potential motion for is the first reading. I'll entertain action on this agenda item.
I move that we approve the first reading of the ordinance amending the 2025-2026 annual budget as read.
Have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
A second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor of said motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Agenda item 17, consider and take any necessary action on a resolution to apply for the home program through the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. Hello, Ben.
Hey, Mayor, hey, Council. So this is an annual thing that comes up with the home program that's ran through TDHCA state funding. The important part for Council to understand is our match has stayed the same at 5%, which is $8,750. We don't pay that specifically because we waive permit fees and other inspection fees that bring our match a little bit down, but it equates to that number. So if you pass this tonight, we can move forward with, I believe we have 3 homes planned for this year. I can't give you the addresses right now because some of them are moving slower than typical, so I don't want to misquote who's up next, but when I get that list, I will let you know.
Off the top of your head, how many we done completed?
I should know this because I just gave Councilmember Milton a report. Do you remember what was on that number? It's, yeah, somewhere in the teens, I
It's been
believe.
an awesome program.
It has, and I'm sure any of those residents would let you look at their house. It really is life-changing to watch those keys get turned over.
It really is.
As part of this action tonight, do they need to take action to approve the affirmative fair housing marketing plan?
So they only have to pass this resolution,
Okay, and then that authorizes.
and then that will authorize us to move forward with the paperwork on our end to get this done.
Dave, you wanna do it?
Council, I'll entertain action on this agenda item.
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation of this resolution.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? If no discussion or vote, all in favor of said motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. I have 8:08 PM. I'm going to call that we now convene at 8:08 PM into executive session pursuant to sections 551072 and 551074 of the Texas Government Code to deliberate about purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property at the H.H. Caulfield Airport, and deliberate about appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of the city finance director. 8:08 PM, we are now adjourned into executive session. Call this meeting back to order. We are adjourned from executive session. Council, will there be, I'll call this meeting back to order in open session at 8:40 PM. Council, is there any action coming out of executive session?
No action.
No action coming out of executive session unless there's any objections. I am now going to adjourn our council meeting.